Well, today, Prime Minister Mark Carney is standing by his initial support for the U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran. But when reporters asked Carney about Trump's threat to end a civilization, the Prime Minister seemed to push back on Trump's targets.
Canada expects all parties in this conflict, in any conflict, to respect international laws, the rules of engagement, and that means not targeting certainly civilians or civilian infrastructure. And we urge all parties in this war to follow those responsibilities. It's a point we've made publicly and privately.
Joining me now, Bob Rae is former Canadian ambassador to the United Nations. Hello, sir.
Catherine, good to see you.
Good to see you as well. But obviously on a day where the tension is high, the stakes are very high, I want to start with those remarkable words from the U.S. president. A whole civilization will die tonight. I mean, what does that tell us about this moment, Trump's intentions?
I have no idea what it tells us about his intentions, but I know what it tells us about what he's saying. What he's saying is horrendous. It's a horrendous statement. It's genocidal. And when you talk about genocide, you're talking about intention. And whether the president goes ahead with this or not, I think we have to realize that we're dealing with an administration that's completely lost its any sense of guardrails or the concept of not only what's legal, but what's moral. It's immoral to have behaved the way the Americans have behaved. It's illegal the way they've been behaving. And the kind of targets that they've set, the kind of targets that they've hit, the amount of destruction that they've done, it's not something that meets any test of international law or of moral law, as the Pope has made very clear. So I'm glad the Prime Minister made clear our position today.
And yet, I mean, he was not using the kind of forceful language that you're using now, Bob Rae. And I wonder, when you say immoral, genocidal, this incredible moment, would we not expect a stronger international reaction? Or are people still at this moment trying not to upset Donald Trump?
Well, I've been thinking a lot about this. I mean, I think it's not just what foreign leaders are saying, it's what the American people are saying or not saying. And I think that the tendency in the conversation is to continue to pretend that the United States is some kind of reliable ally. Vice President Vance has just gone to Hungary. He's made all sorts of totally incorrect allegations about Ukraine. We're dealing, in the case of Hungary, with a country that's becoming ever increasingly autocratic. That's in the middle of an election campaign. I mean, it's ludicrous for an American public official to be going into an election in another country like this. And then we have the president making the comments that he made, not only the one he's made today, but the one he made over the weekend, where he's just gone completely over the edge in what he says and how he says it. And we can't keep pretending that we've got to stop normalizing the Trump administration. It's not a normal administration. It's corrupt. It's self-dealing, and the way it's behaving is profoundly destabilizing to not only the global economy, but to the American and to the Canadian economy. And at some point, people have got to start talking about this.
But the people you are talking about, you seem to be saying what? It should be Americans? Like, should Mark Carney be saying the words that are coming out of your mouth right now? Corrupt, immoral.
I've said what I'm saying. Mr. Carney can say what he says. I no longer work for the Canadian government. I'm a free soul. I can speak my mind, and I'm speaking my mind as clearly as I can.
Would you advise him then, as a free soul, Mr. Rae, to say the same things?
Well, he's the Prime Minister of Canada. He's going to make up his own mind what's the prudent thing to say. But I think some people have to start talking about this. Let's not pretend this is a regular situation or that we're dealing with a normal administration, because we're not. You've got the negotiators who are all doing deals behind the scenes at the same time as they're negotiating. You've got an administration where each member of the administration has been making billions of dollars while in government. you've got people who are breaking every rule with respect to interventions into other countries, whether it's during an election campaign or all the other things that have been done. And I don't know what makes people think that it's worthwhile to talk about. Is this going a little too far? Threatening the end of an entire civilization, is that going a little too far? No, it's going completely over the edge. And I still believe that some of us have to start saying these things more clearly and out loud for Canadians, so they know that not all of us have lost our senses.
None of us knows what will happen, certainly neither you nor I, with this suggestion from Pakistan that there could be a 2-week ceasefire. But I wonder what your thoughts are as you see this offer extended. We see that the White House is saying that Trump will respond to it. The Iranians are aware of the offer. What goes through your mind as you try to ask yourself where things go from here?
Well, there's two theories about Trump. One is that he talks the way he talks simply because he's trying to get a better deal. And don't worry about it. It's not going to happen. He's just bargaining in a bizarre way, but he's just bargaining. The other theory is that no, he's at some point he's going to say, well, I've said all these things. I guess I better do something. But he is at the risk of committing very serious war crimes in defense of his ideas, and I don't think that's a position the President of the United States should ever put himself in. And I'm sure there are people in Washington who are scrambling and doing everything they can to try to get to a deal and to try to get him to come off the ledge. But I think it's in the interest of humanity, frankly, that some kind of compromise be found so that we avoid the terrible destruction and the terrible hardship and the terrible harm that would result from pursuing the kind of rhetoric that he's talking about.
I mean, you are someone who has thought deeply about war crimes in the course of your career. I think about your work advising on the Rohingya. You were obviously ambassador to the United Nations when any number of conflicts were taking place. You say if he follows through. Well, what if he follows through, Bob Rae? What would you expect the world to do if Donald Trump, I mean, obviously, again, none of us knows exactly what this means, but if he were to back this up with a sort of forceful military action, this mass destruction of civilian infrastructure and who knows what else, what would you expect world leaders to do?
Well, the past is not a great comfort to us. I mean, if you look at the killing fields of Cambodia, go down the list of the number of times that terrible atrocities have been committed, and there's been no legal reckoning, really, of the people who were ultimately responsible for this. But I don't think Donald Trump will avoid an enormously strong reaction from the rest of the world. And I would go even further to say, I mean, he's already lost a lot of people. He's lost a lot of respect and of confidence from a number of countries that aren't necessarily going to say anything out loud. But it's very difficult in the region, for example, to see how he can quickly return and say, oh, I'm back now and everything's okay. I don't think that's how people see him. I think he's lost an enormous amount of credibility. And I think that credibility would be even more seriously destroyed if he were to do something like the things he's threatening to do.
He has said the Iranian people would be willing to suffer these attacks because they are so desperate to get rid of the Iranian regime, although he has also threatened to wipe out their civilization. How do you make sense of that?
Well, if they're dead, they're not going to have much of a reaction. And I think it's ludicrous to think that you could carry out these kinds of attacks without causing all kinds of damage to human life. And if you're talking about destroying an entire civilization, I don't see how that happens without taking a lot of people with them. So I don't know why Donald Trump would think he's doing everybody a favor by what he's doing. He's not doing anybody a favor. And he's not, frankly, I don't think that's what motivates him in the slightest. I don't believe he's a person that's motivated by any positive thoughts about the future of Iranian democracy. I don't think he cares less about Iranian democracy.
Bob Rae, it is, as I said, an unsettling and tense time, and we appreciate your perspective trying to help us make sense of all this. Thank you.
I hope I haven't unsettled you too much.
Former Ambassador to the United Nations, Bob Rae.